Welcome back to the new tutorial, guys. In this tutorial, we'll be building a full e-commerce wave application. Alright, so here in our homepage, we'll have this explore product option from where we can search for the product, right? And then we have this sorting options where we can sort the product in an ascending or descending order, or price high to low and low to high. And also we have pagination filter over here. And then for getting the detail of the product, we have this product detail page from where we can see the bunch of images for the product, and we'll have this kind of animation. All right, and we can also increase or decrease the quantity from the product detail page. So let's add to cart, and as you can see the real-time state management over there. Let's go to cart page where we'll have list of products, and we can also change the quantity from here, and as you can see the real-time calculation over there. And let's go back to products and let's search for another product, and let's go for this one. So view details, and let's add to cart, and we can see the real-time state management. And as you can see, right, so we can also remove the product if you want. And let's fill up the form, and let's proceed to checkout, and let's fill up this contact information card and then process, and our payment is successful. Let's go back to products, and we'll also have this dark and light theme. So we'll be working with everything, including sliders, paginations, searching, animations, payment integrations, API integrations, and all of the thing. All right, so in our next chapter we'll be starting setting up our project. So in this first chapter we'll be installing Node, right? So let's go to node.js.org and then hit get node, and then choose version from here. And also for OS, let's choose it from here. Since I'm using Windows, I'll be installing this Windows installer. And after that, let's choose the empty directory for setting up our project, and let's go to this top URL and then type cmd, and in the terminal code and then dot, so that we can open our Visual Studio, right? And then let's choose this one, and then let's cancel this one as well. And now let's make it big and then open up folder, and let's choose that folder. And after that, what we'll have to do is let's go to the terminal, right? So we can go to the terminal from here as well. So new terminal, and after that what we have to do is let's open up Vite, right, because we'll be using Vite, and let's copy this command to set up our React, and then paste it over here, npm create Vite @latest, and then dot, so that, and this dot, what it does is it'll install all the dependencies in this directory, right? So let's hit Y to process, and then let's choose React, and then let's choose JavaScript. We'll be using JavaScript for this project, right? And JavaScript SWC, because that one is faster. And then for experimental, no. And then for installing with npm, yes. And then our packages has been installing, and it's been installed now. So the development server is running. So let's go to this URL. And then that's it. It's live now, right? But now let's go to main.jsx and let's optimize it a little bit, right? So let's go to src, and then let's go to main.jsx, and let's remove this CSS file from here, and let's also delete this file. We'll not need it because we'll be using Chakra UI. And from app.jsx, let's remove this CSS file. And also let's remove this file over here. And that should be it. But we are not removing CSS. I think we forgot to save the file. So let's go to main.jsx and let's hit Ctrl S, and that should be it. So the CSS has been gone, right? Now let's remove all this content, right? So let's go to app.jsx, and then let's remove everything we are returning here, and then let's just put a string with a name as e-commerce, like that, and that's it. And in the next chapter, we'll be setting up Chakra UI. Alright, welcome to a new chapter, and this chapter we'll be setting up Chakra UI. Alright, so let's go to Chakra UI website, and here let's go to docs, and then let's choose version 2 because we'll be using version 2, which is more stable. And then let's get started, and from here let's go to the installation, and then let's go to the framework section and let's choose Fit because we'll be using Fit, and then let's copy this one, and then after that let's go to terminal and then open up a new terminal, and then let's paste those commands over here. So we're actually installing all the motion style, and framer motion, right? So after that, we need to make a setup for provider. So for that, what we need to do is let's import this Chakra provider from Chakra UI React, and so let's go to main.jsx and let's import it over here, and then let's wrap this app with Chakra provider. So we need to wrap this app with Chakra provider like that. And then the last part is to customize the theme, right? So for customizing theme, we have documentation over here, right? Now, but before that, let's see how our button will look like in Chakra UI. So let's remove this e-commerce, and then let's add a simple button, and then let's give it a name e-commerce like that. And if you notice, we did not import this button. This was auto imported when you type in button, right? So for that, we have the extension with name auto import. So you can install this extension so that your workflow will be faster. And let's see how our button looked. So it's good. It's looking good, but there's a problem over here. We're actually getting the dark mode, right? So we'll need to open up the developer console, and let's go to the application. So you can open up this developer console by Control-Shift-I, right? And let's go to this local stores and then localhost 5173, and we'll need to see the key. We have this Chakra UI color mode as dark, so we need to remove this, and then let's refresh the page, and that's it, right? So sometimes we have some keys in local stores which could affect the application. In that case, we can simply, clear the local stores. And the last part of Chakra UI is to customize the theme, right? So we'll need to make this color palette and then use it in the theme, and then provide the theme to the Chakra provider, right, as a prop. So for that, I've already made the theme, and you can find it in this GitHub repository. You can simply copy all of these color palettes, right, and use it in our project, right? So we basically have this theme, and then we have these configurations. The initial mode will be light, right, and use symmetric color mode will be false. And then we have these colors, right? And if you see, the default is actually for light mode, and then dark is for the dark mode, and this text is actually for text color, right? So we have this default and dark, and this muted is actually for the muted UI. And for primary, we'll be using this colors.brand, right? This brand color. So let's copy this file, and let's go to our project, and then here in src, let's create a new folder. So this is going to be theme, and then /index.js. So this is going to be our theme file. So we paste it over here, and after that, what we need to do is we're exporting this theme, right? So let's go to main.jsx, and let's first of all here provide the prop theme, and then let's use theme file from theme index.js, and that's it. Now let's go to app.jsx. Let's try adding color to it. So color scheme will be brand. So let's see that's working, right? And that's it for this chapter. And in the next chapter, we'll be setting routes using React Router. Welcome back to the new chapter, and in this chapter, we'll be setting our routes using React Router DOM. So let's go to browser and hit React Router DOM, and let's go to the second link, React Router official documentation. and let's go to installation, right? So we'll be using this React router. So let's go to, we need to first choose the version. So we'll be using the 6th version. So let's click on this 6th version. And after that, let's go to I'm new. And from here, let's go down a little bit. And from here, let's install this one. npm install React router DOM. And that should be it. And after that, what we have to do is let's create a file, and let's give it like routes and then slash and index.js and JSX. And after that, what we have to do is let's go to the official documentation one more time, right, to see how we can actually use the routes. So from here, what we have to do is let's go to the section adding a router, and from here, as you can see, we will be using this create browser router. So let's import this from React router DOM, and let's paste it over here. And after that, what we have to do is we simply have to use like this, right? So const router, and then we'll be using this create browser router, right? And after that, we need to use this router provider. So let's export it first of all, and after that, let's go to main.jsx, and it should be actually inside of the strict mode, right? So here, after the strict mode, we'll be using this router provider from React router DOM, and then let's wrap all the thing inside of it like that. And here we need to pass prop router, and then we need to use that router we created, right, from routes index.jsx like that. And after that, what we need to do is, since we're using this root route and navigating to this element, hello world, so let's remove this app.jsx since we won't need it because we already have this thing to display. So if we go to the root route, we should see this hello world, right? But as of now, let's change this one to text from Chakra UI. And let's also give color, I guess, and then we'll see it, right? So color will be black as of now, and it's not displaying, right? So what could be the issue? I think everything is fine, right? There's a path and then there's element, and let's check the console first. And there's a error with phone not found, and there's another error. I think the issue is, I think I find the issue like we remove app.jsx, right? So let's remove this one from here as well, and let's also remove this one because we don't have that file, right? So, and that should be it, right? So it's displaying the hello world when we go to the root route. And that's it. And let's also try making another route, right? So it'll be an object with path, and let's give path as home, and let's create an element for it, and it'll be simply a text element as of now as home, right? And now let's go to the home route, and it's working, right? And that's it. I'll see you in the next chapter. All right, welcome back to the new chapter, and in this chapter we'll be looking at how to make a layout like this, right? There's going to be header, and then there's going to be a hero section, and everything like that. So first of all, what we have to do is we have to come up with this route, and then we'll have to add that layout to the top layer of this create browser router, right? So for that, first of all, we'll have to make a layout. So let's give it a name layout, and then index.js, and then let's create a simple component. And here what we'll do is we'll simply create a layout, right? So there's going to be a v stack, a vertical stack, and then there's going to be a text, right? So let's give it a name as a navbar as of now, and then there's going to be outlet, right? So outlet basically means a placeholder for the pages where our layout is going to be. Like for example, if we have header in home page, then there's going to be nav bar like header to the top, and then there's going to be outlet. That means the home page. We'll understand outlet later on in a descriptive way, but first of all, let's implement this layout, right? So here, what we'll have to do is import that layout over here, right? And then let's go over here, and then let's export it first of all, so that we can import over there. So like that. So we're gonna wrap every page inside of the layout, right? So we'll have this children property, and we'll put every route inside of the layout, so that we won't have to use the napper in every pages. So let's make it main page, and let's put it to the top. And then what we have to do is, so everything is wrapped inside of the layout. Now let's go to the terminal, and run dev, and let's check it out. So text is not imported, I guess. So let's import text first from Chakra UI, and it should work now. Let's refresh, and still so let's refresh it again. It's still showing the same error. So I think we have imported text over here, but I think we have missed importing here. So yeah, so let's import here as well, and then let's refresh, and yeah, so we have this is the main page. Now let's go to home page. So as you can see, navbar is implemented in every pages, right? Because we have wrapped every routes in this layout, right? This one and this one. So basically outlet will, so this is going to be text, and this is going to be outlet, right? So outlet basically will be the placeholder for the routes inside of the layout we have, right? So now let's go to the design, and then let's look at this navbar design, right? So we'll be creating the navbar now, navbar component. So let's create a folder, components, and then navbar.jsx inside of src folder. And here, simple, we'll have to create a navbar constant, and then let's give the function. And here we simply will be returning, and then we'll have the box, and after that we'll be using horizontal stack. And then what we'll do is we'll simply first of all we'll have to create a link, right? So it's going to be link from Chakra UI React, and then we'll simply give it a name. So basically we'll have image and then text, right? So we'll have at horizontal stack, and inside of here we'll create an image first, and we'll give a source, and then alt, right? And then there's going to be a text, right? And simply we'll have to replace it by our name. Let's put it ESOP as of now. And then let's give it some styles. Font width, it's going to be medium, and then there's going to be font size, so it should be camel kiss. Font size is going to be XL, and then there's going to be color, and color is going to be primary. And now what we have to do is we simply have to replace this with our navbar component like that. And then now what we have to do is let's remove this file first. Let's go over here, and then let's export it first of all, and then let's come over to our this page, and let's import navbar over here, and that's it. Now box is not defined, so let's import box from Chakra UI React. And then what we have to do now is let's come over here, And then I think it's saying, okay, logo is not defined. So for logo, I already have in my GitHub repository. I'll put the link in the description. You can download this logo if you want, or you can choose any if you want, right? So let's download it first of all. And then let's go to the folder. Let's change the name as e-commerce logo. Let's remove that and change it. And then let's put this file in our repository in this public directory. So let's create a new file with name. Let's create a new folder and then put the name logo, and then inside here we have to paste, right? And then let's import that logo. So from, and then the path, e-commerce logo. And that's it. Let's refresh the page. And I think we have forgot to import the image, I guess. So let's give it size first of all, or maybe first of all let's import from Chakra UI, and it should work now. And let's also import text. And let's refresh, and that's it. Now let's give box size as 30 pixel, and looks nice. Now let's create some other things. This is going to be the logo section, right? So now let's give some spacing. It should be 8, and align items will be center. And after that, of this link section, we will be creating other links, right? So let's create a horizontal stack. So for this auto completion feature, you can either use Amazon Q or the Copilot of Visual Studio Code, right? And after that, let's give some styles. So background will be background, and then px will be 8, right? And then padding y will be 4, and then the shadow will be small, and position will be sticky, like that. And then also we'll be using this top as 0, and j index will be 18, and width will be 4. And now let's customize this horizontal stack, and let's give spacing. And also what we have to do is we have to customize these links over here, right? So let's go over here first of all, and let's first of all make cart items, right? So let's create a box, and inside of the box we'll be using icon button, and before that we'll be using the spacer over here so that we'll have the space. So it comes from React, Chakra UI React. And then let's create an icon button over here. So it actually comes from Chakra UI React, right? And inside of here, so let's make it like this, and then inside of this we'll have some props like icon, right? And for icon we'll be using Lucid React. So let's go to Lucid React, and after that let's first of all install this package. Let's come over here and then install Lucid React, and after that what we have to do is let's go up here in the icon section, let's search shopping cart, and then let's use this copy JSX, and then let's come over here and let's give icon, and then let's put it like this, right? And let's change it to shopping cart from Lucid React, like that. Now let's check it out and let's see if it's working or not. So we have got the icon, but it's kind of weird, right? But we can fix it. So let's go over here and let's give variant as ghost, and then let's give to navigate to cart page, right? And that should be it, right? And finally what we have to do is we have to use as and we have to give here a router link, right? Because there's going to be a link to the code base, right? And also, now let's create a base for this cart items. So over here, what we have to do is let's use this base, and inside here, let's as of now use the static number as 2, and that's it. And now let's give a style to this box first. So position will be relative, and after that, since we have to make this sticky to the top right, let's make it absolute, and then top will be -1, and then right will be -1 too, and then BZ will be brand.300, and that's it. And let's give color as white, and then rounded will be full, and font size will be small, or maybe like 0.7 rem, and px will be 2. And now finally what we have to do is let's go over here, and then I think this style is not implemented because I think in our main.jsx, right, we have used Chakra provider here, right? So I think actually it should be before this router provider, right? We have to wrap this router provider with the Chakra provider, and only then it'll work, right? So let's remove like that, and let's use like that, and now as you can see, it's working, right? And the last thing we'll be working on is for light and dark theme. So of this box, let's make light and dark theme section, right? Let's give a comment, and dark, light, mode, and toggle. So here, we'll be doing it using icon button, right? It'll come from Chakra UI React, and then what we have to do is here, we'll pass props. So first it's going to be icon, and for icon, we have to make a condition over here, right? So if the color mode, if it's light, right? If the color mode is light, then you'll be using the sun icon, otherwise it'll be moon icon, right? I think it's opposite. It actually should be moon, and size will be 20, and this one should be sun. And let's pass size to this one as well. And after that, what we'll have to do is we let's import it from loose React like that, and it's actually imported. Okay, it's working. So let's see. Now color mode is not defined, so let's go over to the navbar, and I think let's const and color mode, toggle color mode equals use color mode, right? Now use color mode comes from Chakra, and if we toggle this now, this is not working, right? As you can see, because we need to pass on click handler in that icon button. So let's go to that icon button, and then let's add, first of all, variant will be coast, and then on click, and then here we'll need to pass that toggle color mode, which is created. Now it should work, so let's click. Now it's working. And I think we missed something over here in the link, in the logo. So here we need to pass as prop, and then we need to pass a router link. All right, and 2 will be simply this slash, or the root route, right? So when we click on this, it'll just go to the root route. And let's also put some style to remove the decoration for text. So style, and then let's give another parenthesis, and text decoration is gonna be none, like that, and it's perfect. And now we have to use to this link as well, right? Have pass some styles. So first of all, as will be it'll be a router link, right? and a router link like that. And after that, we also need to pass to, so that it'll navigate, right? So this will navigate to the root route since it's home, and color will be simply text. And I think that's it, right? So let's copy all the thing, and I think we also have to use a font width, right? Font width will be, I think it should be semi-bold, and that's it. That's it. Let's copy this and let's paste it over here. And let's now change this to products, and also we need to change the text as products. And that's it. We have completed our navbar and layout, right? And the last thing we have is over here. We have to use like here. What we have to do is we have to use home, right? So let's change this to home as of now, and let's change this to products and products like that. So when we click on simply home or root route, right, it should navigate us to home, and when we click on products, it should navigate us to products. All right, in this tutorial, we will be setting our Git. All right, so first of all, let's go to github.com, and from here, let's create a new repository. And let's give some name. For now, let's choose Ecommerce full stack, right? And in the description, you can put it empty and then create repository. And that's it. Now let's copy the link. And then let's come over here to the terminal, and let's open up a new terminal first, and then let's add git remote add origin. It should be git remote add origin and then the link, right? Git remote add origin and then the link. It's saying fatal, not a git repository. Okay, all right. I think we have to initialize it first, right? So let's add git init first, and after that, git remote add origin and then the link we copied, and it has added remote. Now git add dot, right? I think we forgot dot, git add dot like that, and then git commit m and then the messes, right? So let's say setup and layout, and we also completed the route, right? So, and then the UI setup, and that's a bit, right? And then let's push, git push. And before pushing, right, we have to okay, first let's change the branch. So git branch -m min, and after that git push -u origin and then min, and now it should push all the code. So yeah, so let's check it out and let's refresh, and that should be it. It has pushed all the code from local repository to the remote repository. And I'll see you in the next chapter. Welcome back to the new chapter. And in this chapter, we'll be looking at API integration. For that, we'll be using Axios. So let's go to Axios and then install Axios. So npm install Axios. Let's go to terminal and then paste it over here. And that should be it. And after that, let's first create Axios instance. So let's go to src. And after that, let's make a new folder, services / and then Axios instance.js. And after that, let's import Axios from Axios. And after that, let's export const Axios instance is going to be Axios dot and then create. And inside of the create, we'll have an object. All right. So let's create an object. And after that, we'll have a property this URL. And after that, we'll have timeout for the timeout of the request and headers. And content type will be application/JSON. And that's it. All right. So base URL basically mean the base URL of the API, right? So for this tutorial, we're using Pagination API. It's actually a free API. So let's go over here, and here let's explore some of the APIs. So let's view more, and then here inside here, let's go to the products, because we'll be using the products API for our e-commerce, right? So here, as you can see, the response, and there are other APIs as well, but in this tutorial, we'll be just using the product, right? So this is going to be the base URL which we have to use. All right. So let's copy it and let's paste it over here, like that. And after that, what we have to do is we have to use a React query for making hooks for the API, right? So let's go to TanStack query and read the docs. And after that, what we have to do is let's first of all install this React query. So for that, we have this command npm i. Let's go to terminal and then paste it over here. And that should be it. And to set up React query is very simple as well. So we just have to go to services and then create a new folder with name products and index.js. All right, because we'll be fetching data for products, right? That's why the folder name is products. And after that, let's import Axios instance first of all, right? Which we have created. And after that, let's also import use query from TanStack query. That's it. And after that, let's make a hook for getting the product list, right? So const get use get products, because we'll be using use before that name, because this is going to be hook, right? And it's going to be a simple function, right? So let's make a function like this one, right? And then this function is going to return use query, right? And inside here, we have offset where we have property query key. This is going to be a unique key, right? And after that, we have function query function, and this is going to be async function, and this actual function where we'll be fetching our data, right? So await Axios instance dot get and then the path name. And if you see, we are using products as our path name because this is what Pagination provides. Now if we go to documentation, here we have products over there, right? And if we see, this is the URL, right? So we are using path name over here, right? And for domain or the base URL, we already have set up here in the Axios instance, right? That's why we are just using path name over here. And for searching and sorting, we have options over here, right? For search, we'll be using query params. If you see search, and the way we are using search is by the query params, right? And for limit and skip, you know, all those things will be used like query param in the URL. So let's go ahead and set up those filters over here. So first we have search, and this is going to be empty by default. And then we'll have sort by, and this is going to be title. We'll be sorting by title, right? And then we have sort order, and this is going to be ascending, and then we'll have limit and then pace. And sorry, this one is actually just order, all right? Like that. And this is going to be ascending by default. And then we'll have a limit, right? We'll apply limit as maybe 100. And then we'll have pace as 1 by default. And then we'll have to use all of those properties in a query param of the URL, right? So we'll be using, first of all, we'll have to use all those in the query key as well, right? Like that, sort by, auto, limit, pace. And after that, we'll be using these values in a URL while fetching data, right? So what we have to do now is we just have to change how we are fetching data in the Axios instance.get products. So let's go ahead and change over here. Just remove all those things, and then let's use a template literal, right? Like this, so that we are using all those things in a query param. And that should be it. right? We are actually using all these values, all the property in a query parent, right? Of this question mark, right? So that should be it. We have successfully set up the hook for getting the product list. Now let's go ahead and make a home page so that we will be able to use this data in home page. All right, so let's make home page like that and use functional component like that. And after that, what we have to do is just go to routes, and then let's change this one to this home component. So let's remove everything in the element section, and then let's use this home component we recently made. And after that, what we have to do is let's go over to the home page first of all, so it's actually working, right? And now what we have to do is use that hook for getting the product list over here. So const data, and then we'll have a bunch of other things like is loading an error, and after that we'll be using that hook, right? Use get. It was actually, let's go to index.jsx, and it was actually the use get product list. So let's export it first of all, and after that let's copy it, and let's go to home, and then use it over here, and let's import it like that, and that should be it. Now let's try logging the data. Control Alt L, and this is actually shortcut given by Turbo Console Log, right? So it's actually an extension. So it's actually Turbo Console and Log, right? So what it does is it'll provide a shortcut for logging things, right? You just have to install it, and then so it's actually this one. So you just have to install it, and after that, if you want to log the data, just have to double click and then hit Control Alt L. So yeah, so it's actually a shortcut, right? And after that, let's go over here in the home page and let's refresh. And as you can see, there's no query client. So let's set up query client first of all. We forgot to set up the query client. So let's go to main.jsx over here, and then let's go to TanStack query documentation, and we just have to copy few things. All right, it's very simple. So yeah, here we'll have to copy these things, right? And then paste it over here first. That's it. And after that, we just have to make a query client like this one over here after the import. So just have to make like that, and after that we simply have to use this query client provider, right? So after strict mode, we just have to use it over here and then wrap it like that, and then that's it. That should be it, right? Now if we go to home page, and that's it, it's working. Now let's open up our developer console, Control Shift I if you're in Windows, and then let's hit it again. And as you can see, we have successfully hit the API request, right? And we're getting the data as well from here. And let's go to console, and let's see if we have got the data in the UI or not. And we are getting the data. So these are the data we'll be using now. All right, I'll see you in the next chapter. All right, guys, welcome back to the new chapter. And this chapter, what we're doing is we'll be building a hero section. All right, so let's go to this link I'll put in the description. All right, and from here, let's go to home. Right, and then from here, let's copy everything because everything's gonna be UI, right? So we'll not waste much time in the UI, right? And just copy because this is simple text, and you know, there's things, right? There's gonna be box, there's gonna be text. So we'll just return these things. So let's remove everything first of all, and then let's return, and then let's make a parenthesis, and here let's paste it. Right, we'll understand what we're doing here. What we're doing is we simply rendering the text for our hero section, right? So let's fix this first of all, and this is okay. let's wrap it with another box, and that's it. So what we're doing here is we are using a bunch of components like vertical stack, right? So let's import these components first. So let's go over here and then comma and then v stack as capital, and then you're also using add stack and then text. That's it, right? And for styling text, we are actually using background gradient, right? Like this one, linear, and then there's font size, font weight, and busy clip as text. And also here it is a breakpoint for base and medium screen. And also we're gonna import heading like that. So we're using heading, right? And then the styling are same. We're using use color mode value for a dark and light theme, right? And after that, that's it. Right, so let's import this one first of all from Chakra UI React. So let's go to the top and let's import it from Chakra UI React, and that's it. Now if we refresh, it's actually, let's refresh it again. It's actually showing the same error. Let's go over here and everything is working. Let's go over here and then should work now. Let's refresh. Yeah, it's working. And that's it for this hero section. In our next chapter, we'll be integrating data to showcase our products in a slider. In this chapter, we'll be displaying data in a slider, right? So first of all, we're displaying this text, right? This one has a gradient background, and so this one, right? So all the CSS properties, simple. And after that, now we'll be displaying data in a slider, right? So first of all, let's parenthesis, and after that, if it is not loading, if the API is not loading, and if the API has no error, and if this data, let's give it alias as product, first of all. And after that, if the product.length, if it is greater than 0, that means if the API has data, only in that case we'll be displaying data, right? So now data dot map, right? So we'll be mapping all those data here, right? So it's actually products. So I think we will remove that and use data and then dot products. We're getting products like this, right, from the API. So now here we'll be mapping the data. So data.products.map, and then map is going to be a function like that. So we'll now make a card like that, and inside of this card we'll have to display something as a test. So yeah, it's actually displaying the category right now. So now what we have to do is we have to remove this, right, category. So inside of this, we'll first have a card body. All right, and inside this card body, we'll have this horizontal stack first of all, and after this, we'll have this bas with name product category, right? So categories on the left side, and on the right side, we'll have brand. Sorry, should be 10% off, right? And okay, let's put it like that. And after this add stack, horizontal stack, we'll need to use this box, right? And inside this, we'll use the image, right? So let's remove this and just display the image, right? So we are getting the image from image, so like that. And after that, we'll have a stack, and inside of this stack, what we do is we'll be using the heading, right? So here, product.title, and after this heading, we'll display a description. So it should be product.description, and that's it. And now lastly, we'll be using price section, right? And inside of here, let's go and type in add stack, and after that, let's go and use this bas, and let's use the price. All right, so here we'll be using this template literal and product.price into 0.9.2 fixed 2, right? So we'll be using this 2 decimals, and then we'll be using this original price because the above one is discounted price, right? So we'll be using this text decoration as line through so that we can use that, like strike through, right, to to the price. And after that, finally, we'll be using this card footer, right? And add, let's say, view details. All right. And that's it. Let's see what we have built. So card body is not defined. Let's import the card body from Chakra UI. And after that, let's also import card and card footer. And that should be it. And also dash and stack and then button like that. And actually there's an issue in the image, so also we need to import the image from Chakra UI. And I think we're done with the basic card, right? But we're not getting the image. Let's first of all go over to the card and then add key first of all. And after that, let's style this card. So color mode for light and dark theme, let's use dark over here. We'll make this dark constant later, right? And after that, let's give a radius as 2xl, and after that, box shadow, right? And let's use 0.8 pixel, and then it should be like that, and should be 20 pixel, right? And then let's add 112, 129, and should be 129, and then this should be 0.25. That's it. And after that, let's give a border as 1 pixel solid and transparent. And finally, let's add rule as group, and that should be it. Let's go to the discount coupon section. Let's add a comment over here, discount coupon badge. And here, let's provide some styles. All right, so let's go to our GitHub. I'll put in the description, the link, right? And copy this and just paste it like that. And also this one. So these are just general CSS, right? You'll understand it. There's nothing complex. So, all right, this is transition. And after that, let's also provide for image, like that. Let's also use for this stack, right? Let's give it heading from Chakra UI, yeah. And after that, let's also what's wrong? Okay, all right. And after that, we'll be using this text styles. Put it over here. And after that, for this price section, let's copy this one and let's put it over here. And for badge, we'll be putting the styles like that. And this one is actually for original price, right? So let's like that. Okay, so this one is going to be text decoration, is going to be line through, right? And finally, we have this button in the card footer, and let's change it and give it like that. And I think that's it, right? And also, now we were looking for, I think, this was the dark. Okay, yeah. So this dark, we need to make a new file for this dark, right? So we'll create a new file in this src constants and index.js. Let's paste this, right? I'll be putting the description. And after that, let's import it from that file. So, and now let's import this dark from constants. So import dark from dot constants and then index, or maybe just constants like that. And I think it should work, right? So okay, so the link is not defined, right? So we need to import this link from React Router DOM. So let's import link from React Router DOM and then refresh, and now it should work. So it's actually working, right? So now what we have to do is we have to put this in a slider, right? So for that, what we need to do now is let's go to Swiper.js.com. All right, we'll be using this one for slider. So let's install the Swiper first. Let's go here and install Swiper, and that's it. And now let's go ahead and import Swiper and then Swiper slide from Swiper React, and then also import Swiper CSS and also import Swiper CSS navigation for navigating in a slider. All right. So after that, what we need to do now is use the Swiper. Right. So first of all, let's make a Swiper instance and set Swiper instance and use null in the user state. And also now let's create a prev ref and next ref for previous and next button. Now let's initialize those buttons. All right. So assign refs to Swiper navigation after component mounts like that. And let's use effect over here. Let's make a function and let's wrap it first of all. Let's wrap it like that. And after that, if there's a swipe instance and prevRef and nextRef, in that case, what we're doing is we'll be assigning prevRef.current to previous, nextRef to the next one, and then we need to initialize navigation and then update the navigation. And also here we need to provide a dependency, and the dependency will be Swiper instance itself, and that's it. Now finally, let's use that Swiper for displaying the cards. All right. Now let's go down to the mapping section over here, right? And after this and, right, we need to use this parenthesis, and then let's wrap the whole thing. So it should be over here, right? So let's unwrap this and then like that, and let's do it like this. Okay, so now we need to use Swiper, right, to wrap all the cards, right? So this one is card, and then let's wrap it, and after this one, let's wrap the Swiper like that. And after that, let's provide modules, and it should navigation and autoplay, right? We'll import it from Swiper. And after that, slides preview. This is the number we are sliding, right? And let's go here and import use effect. Now autoplay. Okay, so we need to also import navigation and autoplay from Swiper. And we are getting error. Let's open up console, and then so it's okay. So it's actually come from modules, right? So it should be Swiper/modules. And now I think it should work. Let's refresh. And let's see. It's still not working, right? So I think we are missing something in our Swiper. So let's go back to our code and let's see what's missing. In the Swiper, I think everything's correct. Slides for view, and then there's space between. I think we are missing breakpoints. So let's give breakpoints, and for 640, let's make slides per view as 2, and for 1024, we'll be making it 4, like that. And let's refresh, and still it's not working. I think we are missing something. I think we need to make it to 1. Let's give it a try, right? First of all, and after that, let's go down to card. Yeah, we are missing the Swiper slide over here. That's why we were not getting that. So let's wrap the card with this Swiper slide, and then let's check it out. All right. So yeah, everything's correct now, and let's add maximum width, add small, and I think now it should work. Yeah, so it's actually working, right? Now let's also add autoplay to the Swiper first of all, right? So let's add over here autoplay, and then let's give a delay as 3000, right? And then should autoplay. Yeah, so it's actually working. But because we are just using 1 per slide, right? So that's why we're just seeing 1 card. So let's make it 4, and that's it. I think 3 will be fine, right? So let's make it 3, and it's actually looking big, so let's make it 4. So it's, I think 4 will be fine, right? So now let's add explore products, right? So it's a button, and now what we need to do is make a custom buttons for navigation, right? And for that, it's simple buttons, 2 buttons, right? So we'll just go to our GitHub and go to home, and from here we'll just copy the buttons, right? Just a simple CSS. So let's copy and let's paste it over here. And also for this explore products, we'll be using this one, the stylings and all. So this one is link, which will go to products, and background color, etc. And for icon button, we'll be using this too, right? So reference is going to be prev, and then icon. So this one comes from React icons. So let's open React icons, and let's go in this space, and let's now install this React icons. So let's copy it from here and then paste it to the terminal, and that's it. Now we can import this from React icons. So let's import this, and position is going to be absolute top 50%, left 0, transform, and busy. This we have to make it right, nav busy and nav color for that icon, for that left and right icon, right? So let's make it. So let's go over here and simply make nav background and nav color, and for this one we'll make it black, and for this one we'll make it white, right? This one is for background, and for this one color is gonna be white, and here we need to simply make it black. And after that, let's also import the icon button, and we forgot to import this right icon, so let's import it from React icon, and that's it. Let's refresh the page, and there we go, and it's working fine. It's working fine too. So yeah, so in our next chapter we'll be building product list page, which we will navigate by clicking on explore products. Alright guys, in this chapter we'll be building product list page, which will go through this explore products button, right? And so if we see here, we are going to products route, right? So if you see routes over here, it's products. So we're actually going to this text. So let's create a new file or new component with name product.jsx, and after that let's change a little bit over here. So let's make it product, right? And after that, what we have to do is simply change this to that product component. Let's import it, and that should be it, right? Let's remove everything from here, and let's just return product page, and let's see if we are going to the right page or not. We're actually not getting it, because let's wrap it with text, and now as you can see, it's still not working. So I think product is not defined in routes, right? So okay, I think we forgot to import it from here in the route file. Now it should work. So it's actually working now. So when we go to this button, we're actually going to the product page. Okay. Now let's first of all put some arguments over here, like search, sort by, and then order, right? And then page, and then limit, right? So we'll be working with these things later on. And let's now build our layouts. So let's first of all make a states for loading. So it's loading, and we are going to return a spinner over here, right? So let's center the spinner first. So center pat UI 20, and then after that we'll use spinner from Chakra UI, and then let's also give color. Color will be branded 400, and let's wrap the center, and that should be it. But we are actually getting an error. Let's remove it, and all right, so what's the error? So actually, okay, we have to wrap it with a fragment, okay, because we are using the JSX, isn't it? So we have to wrap it with something. So let's wrap it empty fragment. And then let's also build for error. So if it is error, then what we have to do is we have to use here simple text for showing the error messages. So products. All right. And let's also give a color. It should be rated 500. And that should be it. And now let's also make the state for empty state, right? So let's go ahead and type in for empty state. And after that, if it is not loading, and if it is not error, and if data.products.length, if it is 0, in that case, we'll be displaying empty state. Now all the states are done. Now only thing remaining is to display our product list, right? So we'll be mapping the data that we're getting from API over here, right? So it should be product cards. And after that, if it is not loading, and if it is not error, and if the data.products.length, if it is greater than 0, in that case, we'll be mapping data over here. So let's go ahead and let's use a simple grid, because we'll be showing those cards in a grid. So it comes from Chakra UI. And after that, let's remove that and let's map our data. So data.products.map, and then it's going to be a function, right? Let's make an empty function first of all, and let's give an argument over here. And then now let's use card that we have already built in our home, right? So let's copy card. We'll be using the same card, right? So it's reusable. And now let's paste it over here. And that should be it. And now what we have to do is simply search is not defined, right? So it's actually in this line. So let's go and press Ctrl H 61, and search is not defined. It's actually in line 48, I guess, right? So let's go ahead and search for 48, and then as you can see, search is not defined, right? So we have to make a state of this search sort by order, right? So let's make a state over here, like in home page. So const search, set search, yeah, these things. Now it should work. All right, so let's go to our website and let's see. So spinner is not defined, so we have to import it from the Chakra UI, I guess. So let's go over here in this line and let's import it from Chakra UI React. And that's it. Now is error is not defined, right? So in this line, so let's search. So okay, this one. So let's go over to our API, and here let's add is error, and then that should be it. Now it's actually working, but we're not getting the data, right? So it's actually showing me this error. Let's refresh. It's actually not rendering the list, right? So let's copy and let's give it to Copilot, right? Because everything seems to be correct. So let's just copy up to here, and then let's open up Copilot, Control Alt I, and let's paste it over here, and let's see if it will solve our error or not. All right. So sometimes, what happens is if you're going through some error, so instead of looking after it, you can just put it to Copilot or Claude or etc., right? And then you can just verify if it's work or not, right? So it has given me the solution, and if you see here, it's actually replaced use color mode value with variable card BZ, and after that, so yeah, it's actually made card BZ, and then it has actually used use color mode in that variable. So let's keep it. Okay, let's keep this one as well. And I think this is the error. This is the solution, right? So I think we missed to wrap the card. That's why it was showing the error, right? So yeah, so the error was we actually forgot to wrap, so there's an issue in wrapping, right? This card. So it actually fixed with adding some braces, and that's it, right? Now, if you see the data, we're actually getting just one data, right? Just getting one data. Let's console, and as you can see, there's just one data. So we're actually getting just one data from the API. Let's refresh and see the network. And as you can see, the limit is just one, right? But we actually have 10 over here. So let's go over here. And as you can see, the order is not maintained, right? It should, the limit should actually come before the page. But I think it should work. We actually have to get 10 data. Now it's actually working. All right, that's great. Now let's go over here and let's explore products, and that looks great, right? Now what we have to do is we have to use a tilt over here, right? So when we hover over it, it should actually, you know, like move. So for that we have package, React Parallax, tilt, and it's tilt, and it's actually an npm package, this one. So let's go over here, and after that let's copy this one, and let's go to terminal, and let's paste it over here, and that's it. Now what we have to do is simply wrap that card with this tilt. So first of all, let's import it's actually tilt from React Parallax tilt, and let's wrap this card with tilt. All right, and that's it. And let's also add some props for this tilt. So let's go over here. I'll put in the description this link, right? So let's copy and paste, and we'll understand. So this glare enable is actually a glaring effect for that tilt, right? So it's true, right? And for the opacity, we're just using 0.0. The scale is gonna be just 1.1 up, right? And then there's transition, right? Speed, and then there's a transition angle. X means the horizontal. This one is for vertical, and then this is a class name. That's it. And now let's check it out. All right. So let's go to this page, and it's actually working, right? So you can configure on your own as well, right? The vertical and then the horizontal, and this glaring effect, right? You can actually change if you want, but as of now, we're just putting like this. So great, we're already halfway through the whole tutorial. All right. So in our next chapter, we'll be building searching, sorting, and pagination for our product list. And if you like this video, please make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. All right. And I'll meet you in the next chapter. All right, guys. In this chapter, we'll be building search bar over here. All right. So let's go to our page product, and here to the top, we'll be building search bar. So let's first of all build horizontal stack, and then let's give it a little bit of style. So it should be like that. Let's remove wrap, just wrap, and then put justify, space between. Let's remove this one and keep MB as 4, margin bottom. And after that, we'll be building search bar, right? So it's actually input component from Chakra UI. So let's search for input. Let's go down and search for our component. So I think this one should work fine, right? There's icon and there's input, or maybe this one will be more better, right? So we'll just copy this one, right? But because we already have one in our GitHub repo, we'll just copy it from there, right? And then see what we're doing over here, right? So let's just say left search, and then right is going to be sorting, right? But we are just working for search in this chapter. So let's paste input group, and let's first of all see if it's working out, right? But before that, we'll need to import this input group, input element, input from Chakra UI React, right? And then let's first of all see, and then we'll understand what we're doing, right? So search is not defined, inline. Let's see the line number. First of all, let's open up console and then remove this, and then it's actually 108, right? So let's go for 108, and they can see search. So let's import it from Lucid React. All right, and now it should work fine, right? Now let's see first of all if it's working, if it's working or not, right? So let's search for something. Watch So as you can see in the network, it's actually q equals watch, right? So it's working. Let's go for bag, and they can see it's actually working. Q equals bag, so it's actually hitting the request. So here, this is the icon, right? The left one is icon, and then we have this input over here. There's a placeholder, there's value, this search state we have made, right? And then they set search, and in on chains we're setting search either targeted value, right? And then we have border radius, busy, shadow, right? And then there's transition, right? So when we focus on it, you can see the width increasing. There's the transition, and we have width over there, right? And then we have focus, where we have done this border color and etc., right? Right. And that's it. In our next chapter, we'll be working on sorting and pagination. So in this chapter, we'll be creating a sorting for our product list. All right. So for that, what we have to do is, first of all, let's go over here and let's search for select. And we'll be using this select, right, where we'll have options. So we already have that in our GitHub. I'll be putting link in the description so you can just copy. So this is just the stylings, right? We're just copying the stylings. So let's go over here, and here let's type right and then sort, and then let's paste it over here. So here what we are doing is there's a select, right? And right, let's import it, and then all right, so we are putting the styles, and there's value, right? And then there's sort by, and then there's order. So for sort by, we are actually using these values: price, high, low, high, right? And then as you can see, there's sort by and then there's order as well, right? And on chains, we are actually splitting with this dash, so we get new sort and order. So for these values, for these options, because we are using value like this in this format for the options, and after that we are setting sort by over here. So this is the initial sort by, right? And for this set order, we're actually using it over here. So ascending will be the initial value for order, and then there's color, there's busy, there's rounded, there's transition. We're actually using transition as well, and there's focus. So when we focus, we get this color, right? So now let's open up a network tab, and let's refresh first. And as you can see, there we have initial values for order and sort by. Sort by is price, and order is ascending, right? So price is the initial value for sort by, and for order it is ascending, right, initially. So that's what we're doing, right? So when we change the option, right, we are setting order and then we are setting sort by. So let's test it out. So let's go for this one first of all, and as you can see, the order is descending and then the sort by is price, so it's actually working. Let's change another one. Let's go for this one, and as you can see, it's actually changing as well, right? So it's ascending and then sort by is title. Okay, this seems to be working. Let's go for this one. Now it should be descending, and as you can see, sort by is title and order is descending, so it's actually working. And that's it. In our next chapter, we'll be working with pagination. Welcome to the new chapter, and in this chapter we'll be building pagination for our product list. All right, so we already have a state, page state over here. So let's take it to the top and then add a small comment over here, pagination state. And now, because for this we'll need the total number of rows we are getting from the API. So let's open up network tab and let's refresh. And if we go over here, or maybe let's double click it, and if we unwrap all of this, and as you can see, there's a total 194, right? So that's the total number of product we get from the API, right? So let's go ahead and pagination buttons, and let's now say data and data the total. If we have total more than 0, only in that case we'll be displaying the buttons. So add stack, spacing will be 2, I think. All right, and justify will be center, And after that, let's also put a wrap, and wrap will be wrap like that. Empty will be it, right? And here we'll be displaying our buttons. So we'll have 3 buttons, right? So one will be previous button and one will be next button, and in the middle we'll have the rest of the buttons, right? So let's go ahead and make a previous button. So button will come from Chakra UI, and inside of it let's put previous, and here let's give size. First of all, let's make a breakpoint, and for base it'll be extra small, and for medium it'll be small. And after that, let's on click, so it'll be set pace prev and math.max prev -1 and then 1, right? So it'll basically be previous -1, right, when on click. And is disabled is pace equal 1, and color scheme will be brand. Now let's test it. As you can see, it is in the disabled state when we are in pace 1, right? Now let's copy this and make for the next button as well. So here what we have to change is this one, previous +1, and then is disabled will be it should be data the total by limit, right? So let's add math.sil and data the total by limit. So that's it. So here we are setting the pace, right? And the pace state will change, and it'll change in the API, right? So let's go ahead and open up network tab, and let's click next. And as you can see, it's not working, right? So let's refresh the page, and let's try again, and it's still not working. So let's try removing this math.max and just put previous +1. All right, so let's hit it again, and still not working. So let's go to top and see if our pace state is correct or not. So let's go to this hook, and there you can see initial is 1, and in our query RAM it is set properly as well. So I think seems to be correct. So let's open up Copilot, Control-Alt-I, and let's hit the prompt, because a lot of times instead of debugging ourselves, it is better if we can debug using AI, because that'll be more efficient, right? So it was actually a small typo. We're actually using small c instead of capital C, right? So that was the issue. So let's go ahead and test it again. And now, as you can see, the API is hitting properly, right? So when we click next, it is actually increasing the page, and when we click previous, it is actually decreasing the page number. So it's working. So now let's make the rest of the buttons, all right? So for that, we'll first build a function, right? And so let's go over to the top and make a function, right? So here, remove this, and then let's go here, and then let's const get page numbers, and this will be a function. So it'll take 2 arguments. One will be current, and another one will be total. So const delta is going to be 1. We'll understand it later, right? So let's first of all make it page is around current page. Range will be empty. Left will be math.max, and then there's going to be 1 current minus delta, and right is going to be total current plus delta. All right. So for let I equal 1, I less than left, I plus plus. This one is actually for left, right? And if I less than or equal 2, or I is greater than total minus 2, and this should actually be 1, right? All right. So or if I greater than or equal left, and then if I less than or equal right. In that case, what we'll be doing is we'll be pushing I to the range. And for else if, let's see the suggestion range, and then range length -1. If it's not equal ellipsis, range push. Otherwise, return range, right? So this function will basically return us the range. Left. All right, let's start from the left, right? So this is for the left buttons, right? So, and right is for the right button, right? This one. And for delta means the number of pages around the current page, right? Because if you're in, let's say, page 5, then we should display 4 and then 6, right? Because that's the neighbors. So 1, right? And for range, range is basically the number of buttons we'll be rendering, right? So it's actually a array. And then this function here, what we're doing here is we are actually displaying the left buttons to be shown, the right buttons, and then the ellipses, right? And finally, we are returning the range. We need to, the range is total number of buttons or array to be displayed, right? So now let's go over here and then let's call that function get page number. So it's actually like that, page and then map seal total by limit, and then we'll be using map, right? So it's a function. So inside of here, let's keep p and then I, page and then index, right? And here, let's first display the ellipsis condition, right? So if p, so if it equals to this ellipsis, then we'll be displaying the ellipsis. And so let's make ellipsis over here first. So let's make text, and then key will be index, and then let's add padding horizontal and then ellipsis like that. And over here now we'll be displaying the button, right? So here let's add p, and then over here let's add key first of all, and after that let's add background. So if we are in the current page, then we'll be adding brand. Otherwise we'll be displaying the inactive button color, so it'll be gray, right, in light and dark mode, right? So if you are in current page, we'll be making it brand, otherwise it'll be gray. And for on click, what we'll basically do is set the page, right? And then this size with breakpoint base as extra small, and then medium will be small. Now if we refresh, let's refresh the page, but we're not rendering the buttons, right? So there's some issue over there. So let's go to this function and let's see if there's something. So there's delta, range, left, right, everything is correct. And for left and right, we're pushing the range, and for ellipsis, we're pushing as well. So let's open this and let's see. Number of buttons in the middle of the next and prev for pagination not being rendered. So, in these minor issues, it's better to ask AI, right? So as you can see, it's actually separating the logic, right? So I think this, this should be better. Okay. So let's open up network tab and let's check it out. And as you can see, it's actually working, right? And we're actually getting the desired results as well. Like if you're in the current page 18, we're actually getting 17 and 19. And it's actually displaying the first 2 pages, 1, 2, and then the last 2 pages. So that's it. In our next chapter, we'll be working on product detail page. Alright guys, in this chapter, we'll be looking at how to build a product detail page. Alright, so first of all, let's commit all the thing that we have done until now to Git, right? So git add all, and then git commit -m, and then fit add, I think it should be search, and pagination filters to our product list page, right? So product list, and that's it, and clear. And now let's go over to view details. So we are actually going to product and then ID, right? So let's go over here and create a new path with product ID is to ID, because this is going to be dynamic, right? And after that, let's create a product detail. It should be product detail.jsx. We're actually creating product detail page and RAFCE, and just create a simple component like that. And now let's go to route, and okay, let's import it like that. And let's go here, and we are actually going to products 26, right? So now let's go ahead and catch that ID, right? So to catch the ID, we have a hook use params. So let's destructure ID and use params, and then let's get the data. So we're actually using this get product detail, but we haven't made it, right? So let's create one like product list. So let's go over here to services index.js, and everything's gonna be pretty much the same, but the only difference will be API path and then some of the query key and arguments, right? So here for we're actually changing the path to products ID, because this is the one for getting product list. If we see Pagination and go here to products and get a single product, as you can see, this is the API we are actually hitting, right? Products and then ID. Now let's import it, and let's first export it, and then let's import it. All right. And let's also import this use params from React. So let's remove this one from here, and let's go to product.jsx, and let's copy is loading in his header, and then let's paste it over here because everything's going to be the same, right? And after that, let's import it, and it's not importing. Also, for this is header, let's is header like that, and let's import box, center, spinner, and text from Chakra UI. And after that, let's go to Pagination, and let's see here what we're getting, right? So these are the things we're getting from the detail API. So let's open up an Echo tab, and let's go over here. And as you can see, there we have images and all the things that we're actually getting from the product detail API. So now let's go to our code section and fetch all the data. All right. So after this is header, let's destructure all the data. So title, description, price, and then rating, and then thumbnail, and then images, and then stock, and then category, and that should be it. Should be data or empty object. All right. And also now we will be having the main image section, right? So it actually comes from the images key, and since it's an array, we are fetching from the Jareth index. And now let's create a selected image state, right? Because when we click on the image, it should actually highlight that in the main image section. That's why, right? So now let's go over here, and in the main image, let's assign that was actually selected image, or otherwise image is 0. So a little bit more clear when we see it in the UI. All right. So now let's go ahead and let's create a UI. So let's first create a vertical stack, and after that, let's give it a style. So it should be 90 VH, and maximum width will be 6XL, and then MX will be auto, PX will be 4, PY will be 10, should be 6, and the justify content will be center. Alright, that should be it. And after that, let's go over here and let's create a grid component. Alright, and let's also give it some style, template columns, and best should be 1 frame, and for medium it should be 120 pixel, 1 frame, and then 1 frame. First one will be for the image grid, second will be main image, and third will be detail. And gap will be 10. And after that, let's first of all create thumbnails grid, right? So the first one will be thumbnails, second will be the main image section, right? And the third one will be it should be product details section, right? So first one will be 120, second 1 frame, and third 1 frame, right? So let's now create a thumbnail list, right? So it should be create item, and inside of here, let's first of all create a vertical stack to vertically align the items, and let's give some spacing, and align items will be center. And after that, let's now map all the images of that particular product, right? So map, and it should be function, and let's get the image and also index, and after that let's return a simple image. All right, so let's wrap it. And for styling, let's go over to this GitHub link. I'll be providing the description. This is just the styles. So key src will be image, this image, all box size, object fit, border radius, cursor, transition, hover. And for on click, we are changing this select image, right? Now let's import vertical stack. Let's import it from here, and also grid and grid item. That's it. And of that, primary is not defined. I think we'll need to import it from constants, and that's it. Then now we're getting another error. So let's go to console. Let's click it, and we're actually getting the error in this part. So everything seems to be correct. Let's refresh. Let's go to console, and it's undefined, right? So let's refresh. Let's comment this one. Let's refresh. So I got the issues. We need to change the way we're actually rendering is loading, and also for is error we need to use this if clause, and now it should work. So let's refresh, and it's working. So all right, so now what we need to do is we need to first of all we need to just copy all the thing we have commented before, and let's also uncomment this one. And as you can see, we need to import the image, right? So here, now let's refresh, and as you can see, we're actually getting the images list, right? But since this product has just one image, we are just getting one. Let's go for another product. Let's search for this watch, and as you can see, we're rendering all the images of that product, right? Now let's build the main image section. So when we click on the grid item list, right, the left one, it'll highlight that image in the main image now. So grid item, and then image, right? And here we just need to put src, and then alt, and then width, height, object fit, and then border radius. And as you can see, it's actually displaying it. And also over here, let's wrap it with tilt, so that when we hover over it, and then we can actually tilt that image. So that should be it. And here let's pass prop glare. Enable will be true, right? And glare opacity should be 0.0. and after that let's make a scale, and then transition, and then tilt max angle x will be 10, and then y will be 10. Class name should be width 400 pixel, or maybe 300 pixel. And let's change some of the properties, like this one, and here it should be 1500, and this should be 30, and this should be 40. Okay, that's it. And now let's see if we are getting the desired result or not, right? So tilt is not defined, so let's import it from React Parallax tilt. So it's working, right? X, Y, everything is working. All right, now what we have to do is, now we have to create another column for product detail, right? The third one. So let's create item, and now inside here, first of all, we'll be creating a vertical stack, and after that let's create a heading first and give a title, and after that let's also give some styling to the vertical stack. So align will be flex start, spacing will be 4, and that should be it. And also give some styling over here. So size will be LZ, and color will be text, just text. And after that we'll simply create a badge to display the category. So it should be category, and after that let's give some styling. Color will be it should be brand, and padding X will be 3, and then padding Y will be 1. and rounded will be full, and then font width will be bold. So let's see in our web page it's working or not. And as you can see, heading is not defined, so let's import it. And as you can see, it's fine until now, until the pass, right? Now let's create a horizontal stack to display the description and all the prices now, right? So first of all, I will be creating a star. So array 5, we'll be creating 5 stars. That's why array 5 field and then map, and then we'll simply have to return something over here. So let's first get this one and then index, and over here let's return star icon. It's actually star from Lucid React, and after that we'll have this key and then size and then color. So for color, if it is if I is less than a rating, then should be primary, should be filled, but otherwise it'll be simply gray, right? And also for fill, the logic is same, but here should be none. That's it. Now for rating, let's add text and let's give rating and then to fixed and just 1 because we just want 1 decimal digit. So like that. And after that, let's also give some of the styles like font width, and then color will be text. All right, and then margin left will be 1. And also let's import add stack. So due to auto completion, it's not auto importing, so let's go over here and then add stack. So that's it. After that, what we have to do now is create a description section. So after this add stack, we'll be creating a description. So let's create a simple text and put description over here. And also let's give some styles. So font size will be, so let's auto complete this one, and this one is actually for price section, actual price and discounted price. So let's make it 500, grade at 500, and let's see. So I think that should be it for discounted and actual price, and it's working fine. But let's now also, after this one, this price section, let's also style this description text. So for this, we'll simply use color grade at 500. And after that, let's now create a badge to actually indicate if the stock, if the product is out of stock or is in the stock, right? So let's make a stock badge. So for that, we'll simply create a badge, and then we'll simply have a condition over here if it's in the stock, if it's actually in the stock or not, right? So if the stock is greater than 0, that means it's in the stock, right? And otherwise, it'll be out of stock, right? So simple as that. And for styling, I'm just copying it from here. There's nothing much. That's why, right? Because if I, like manually do the styling, it will be a very long video. So I'll just put like that. And simply this quantity section, right? So I'll just copy it from here and we'll understand it later. There's nothing much. So we'll just copy and then paste it over here and then simply understand what we're doing here. All right. So this is actually a number input that comes from Chakra UI. So let's import all of these things: number input, number field, input stepper, increment and decrement stepper, and then button, right? And also quantity is not defined, right? In 254, it's actually in, let's search for quantity, and there you go. And let's make a state for it. So let's go evolve and make a state for quantity. So here, quantity, set quantity, and use state is going to be 1 default. And let's go here in shopping cart and let's import it from Lucid React, right? And add to cart handler. So let's make empty function for as of now. All right. So let's add to cart and then just give empty function like that. And as you can see, now let's understand what we're doing over here. So there's a number input, right? It's actually take the input, right? It's actually input field. When we change it, it'll just change the quantity, right? So these are the styling, and then there's number input field, right? Which is actually the field over there, right? And there's a number input stepper, right? It's a wrapper for increment and decrement stepper, right? That's it. It's nothing much. And finally, we have a button with icon, right? So there's a left icon and some of the stylings, right? So an on click, we are adding to cart. Now we'll make a logic for this function, all right? Let's first go to Zustand for our state management, because we'll be working with the state management now, right? So let's go to Zustand. It's very simple, right? There's nothing much. We'll understand it. So let's go to documentation first. And as you can see, let's first of all install. And as you can see, we'll simply use this create and then, use this function. And this is going to be state. There's going to be some function that'll either increase, decrease, or, manipulate the function here. It's actually increasing the population, right? It's actually increasing the state of beers by 1 and then remove all beer. And there's up to beers, right? There's nothing much. We are simply manipulating the state, right? There's going to be state and there's going to be function that manipulate the state. So let's first of all go over to the terminal and then install Zustand, npm install Zustand, and that's it. And now let's clear the terminal, and then now we are going to make the store for our state, right? So for that, let's go to the src folder and create a folder name. It should be store, right? So store and then cart store.js, like that. And after that, let's first of all import create from Zustand, because this is the function, right, which will create all the state and function for our states. And then let's also create a persist, right? So now let's make a hook for cart store. So it should start with use. So use cart store, and then let's sign it with a create function. And inside of the create function, let's first of all make parentheses like that, and here we'll persist the state. Now persisting means it'll actually persist in the local stores, all right? We'll understand it later. Now first of all, let's make a function over here, and this persist will actually take a function, right? So let's create an empty function first, and this will basically take the set parameter, right? So it's actually like in the auto suggestion, right? And after that, let's go over to the function here, this function, and inside of this function, now let's create a state for our cart, right? So first of all, we'll have a cart items, right? So this will simply be empty. So let's make it cart like that. And after that, we'll have a function to adding to cart, right? So let's give a comment and add. So now let's make a function for adding to cart. So this function will basically take the ID of the product, right? And then now what we'll do is we'll use a set to get the state first, right? So set and then state, and inside of this function, so let's go inside of this function, and what we'll do inside this function is see if the item already exists or not, right? So state.cart find item.id. If it equals to ID, that means it exists, and if it exists, we'll simply increase the quantity of that product, right? And otherwise, if it does not exist, then we'll simply return the item to be added, like this, right? Now let's fix the braces. I think there's an issue with the braces over here, so let's fix it, and that's it. So what we're doing over here is we're simply looking if the item exists or not with this find. If ID is equal to item.id, it exists, right? And if it exists, then we simply have to increase the quantity of that ID product, right? So here, increment quantity. So this one is actually for increasing the quantity if it already exists in the cart, if that product, right? So state.cart map, we look if that is the ID with item.id, and if that is the case, we'll simply, with the spread operator, we'll add that item, and then quantity will be increased by 1, right? And otherwise, we'll simply add that item, right? And lastly, if it does not exist, we simply will return cart and then state.cart and ID, and then quantity will be 1 simply, right? Now that's it for adding to cart. Now let's also make a function for removing the product from the cart, right? So let's give a comment remove from cart, and then make function remove from cart, and then here we'll simply get the state, and we'll just filter that ID, the ID of the product, and we'll simply return the array, right? And it'll simply remove that product from the cart. So here we'll simply get the ID of that product, and from here we'll simply return, and cart is going to be cart.filter, and then item.id if it is not equals to ID, right? So we'll simply remove that ID or product from the cart, right? And the last one, we'll simply update the quantity of that product. So let's go ahead and make a function, and we'll simply take two things. One is going to be ID and one is going to be quantity, right? So here what we'll do is we'll simply map over the cart items, and if and for that ID we'll simply use that quantity. If you see here, we're simply mapping over to the item, and we'll check if the ID is matching or not, and in that case we'll simply add that quantity, otherwise just item. And that's it. We're done with making all the store state and function to manipulate our cart items, right? And also we're talking about persist, right? So this persist will basically persist the state even if we refresh the page. Otherwise, if we do not use the persist, it'll remove the state when we refresh the page from the local stores. And also let's give name to it when we store it in the local stores. So name will be like that, cart stores. And let's remove this one. And now let's go to cart, add to cart handler function. And inside this function, let's use this use cart store we just created. And then let's first of all, I think, import it. So import use cart store from stores cart store. And after that, we have the get state as a native function. And so let's hit get, it should be get state. And after that, add to cart. And inside here, we'll be passing the ID of the product. And then this one should be quantity. So quantity, and that should be it. And this one should be, we have to pass it like that. All right. So as you can see, there's an error. Cannot resolve this file. So let's go over here and let's see if we are exporting or not. So we are exporting it. I'm using the same name over there as well. So everything seems to be correct, but I think, okay, I got the issue. So it should be actually store, right? Folder name is store. Let's refresh the page. And now when we add to cart, it should actually increase the number of cart items over here in the navbar, right? Now let's open up network tab and let's go to application, and here in the local storage, we're actually storing our data in cart storage, right? So all right, so in cart storage we are actually storing all the details of the product when we add to cart, right? So now let's change the quantity and add to cart, and as you can see, the quantity is being updated as well, right? So now when we hit add to cart, it should actually, reflect it in the navbar cart items, right? So for that, let's go back to our navbar, and now let's go down, and over here, first of all, we need to, get the state from the store. So let's add comment over here, and after that, let's const cart is gonna be use cart store, and then we'll just retrieve the cart. So for that, state and state.cart, and that should be it. And total items will be cart.reduce total item, and then total plus item quantity, and then 0. So let's import use cart store first. import use cart store. Now let's go down to update the cart state in the cart items over here, right? So what we need to do is we need to go down over here, and in the bas section, this one, we're actually using the static one. So let's remove it, and let's say if total items is greater than 0, only in that case we'll be putting that one, right? Only in that case we'll be displaying that bas, and let's change the static value to total items like that. So it's being reflected, right? So first of all, let's remove this key from the local stores to make our cart items 0, and then try it again, right? So let's refresh, and let's close this one, and let's now try adding to cart. So let's add one quantity, and as you can see, it's actually working. Let's now go to product list and add some other products. Let's search for watch, and let's go to view details, and then let's try adding some quantity to cart, and as you can see, it's actually working, right? So yeah, that's working. And even if we increase or decrease the quantity, if it's greater than 1, it'll just add one quantity to the cart, and that's working. And in our next chapter, we'll be working with cart base. In this chapter, we'll be working on cart base. So let's make a cart route first of all, and let's also make a cart base, right? So let's copy this one, and let's make it cart, and then let's first of all, let's go over here and let's return text and then cart, and let's also change this to cart. All right. So now what we need to do is let's go over here and let's change it to cart component we just made, right? And let's go to cart base, and as you can see, we're actually in cart base. It's working. Let's now go to navbar and let's see the route is good. And let's now save this file, and let's go over here first of all, and let's remove every import, and that's it, right? And now let's first of all import this text. So it's not working from here, so let's import it from Chakra UI React, and there we go. Now we need to display the cart items, right? So for that we'll use cart store, right? But before that we also need the hook, right? So let's use this use get product list, this hook, right? So let's import it. We'll also need this one, this hook, and so let's change it to services like that, right? And this should be products, and that's it. And after then we will actually need to display the cart items. So we'll need the cart store, right? So let's const cart, use cart store, and that's it. Let's include this one as well, use cart store, from store, cart store. Now we also need remove from cart, so that we can actually remove the product from the cart in the table, right? And also update quantity, so that we can actually update the quantity from table itself. And also for the form address, the delivery address, we'll need this address. So let's make a stit, and should be object with key as name and street, and both of them will be empty string by default. Now let's also make a background color for the card, right? So it should be white and then gray.800, and also this one should be for table background color, so it'll be gray.50 and then gray.900, right? So let's make it table BZ color, and let's also make text color, so it should be white, and then this should be gray.800. And finally, you also need to make header color, right? So it should be simply red.500, and this should be red.300, like that. And after that, let's make a state for loading and header. So first is loading, and let's return center, and after that we'll be using spinner, right? Its size as XL and color as branded 400. And let's import this one from Chakra UI. So center and spinner and use color mode, and that's it. And after that we also need to make state for header. So if is header, return center and then text with error messages, right? And let's also put null squeezing operator over here, and then let's pass the string error occurred. Need the data from product list, so product will be data.products or this empty array, and then cart items, so we'll simply map over that product with our cart store, right? So we'll simply find, and then we'll simply match the ID and then return. So let's make a condition over here. If there's not product, then we return null, otherwise we return product and then quantity. And this should be actually, I think, item.quantity, right? Because we are actually mapping over the item. And we'll simply use this filter boolean to actually remove all the null items. All right. Go to the calculation part for order summary. So let's make subtotal first. So it should be car items, then reduce, right? So we're actually, using the accumulator, right? And then we are actually multiplying price and quantity. And let's go for discount. So it should be 0.1 into subtotal. So subtotal into 0.1. And for shipping, it should be, if it is greater than 50, we will not charge shipping. Otherwise, should be 10, right? So like that. And for total, should be subtotal minus discount plus shipping. That's it. Let's make an increment and decrement function for the table, right? So increment will simply take ID and quantity of the product, right? And then we use update quantity of our cart store, right? So we'll simply increase by 1, and for decrement, we'll simply decrease by 1. And for decreasing, we'll make a condition over here, right? So we can only decrease if the quantity is greater than 1, right? So if quantity is greater than 1, only in that case, we'll update. Let's go ahead and make a table for cart items and then order summary, right? But before that, we'll simply wrap all of them into a box, right? And let's make a heading. First of all, let's give a style over here. So it should be padding will be 8, background will be busy color, and that should be it. And after that, let's create text and let's give it your cart, right? And let's give some styles. So font size will be 2XL, font weight will be bold, margin bottom will be 4, color will be text color, and that's it. Now let's make cart empty and non-empty state. So if the cart items dot length, if it is equal to 0, then this is going to be empty state, and otherwise the other side is going to be non-empty state, right? So let's go over here and let's create a text, and let's say your cart is empty like that. And here let's simply make a stack over here as of now, right? So box is not defined, so let's import box from Chakra UI React, right? And then as you can see, our cart is empty, but should not be empty actually, because we already have products in our cart, which is actually showing us empty, so there should be some issue. So let's open up a developer console and let's remove this cart storage from here and let's refresh. And it's empty. Now let's go to products and let's try adding some product, and still showing me empty. So let's go over here and let's make it spread operator like that, and let's refresh again and still empty. Let's try to console the cart items over here. I think it's an issue of cache, I guess, because let's hard refresh it, and as you can see, now we should fix it. So as you can see, it's not showing me your cart is empty, right? So let's make it text, and as you can see, we finally got the cart data, so it's actually working now. Now let's add the cart. As you can see, it's working right now. Let's first make it empty, right? And then let's now work on creating a table to showcase our products, cart items, right? So let's go over here and let's create a stack first, and after that let's create a box, and then we'll have a table inside of the box, right? And before that, we'll add some styles to the stack. So direction, this will be column, and it will be woke, spacing, and then we'll also need to add a line as flex start, and then we'll use styles for box flex, and then maximum height 500 pixel, and then there will be overflow Y, right? And then there's background, and then there's border radius, shadow, padding, and then let's also add rounded and shadow as XL, and that should be it. Let's remove padding. Let's add dark and light background 50, and then that should be it, I guess. So now let's style this table. Variant will be simple, and inside of the table we'll be using table head, right? So we're actually using the table component from Chakra. So let's go over there and let's see, right? So docs version 2, and let's search for table, and let's go to the components first, and let's search for table over here. And there are lots of variants for the table, so let's copy one of them, and we'll work with this one, right? So simply copy it, and then let's remove it and let's paste it over here. So let's now add something to cart. So it's not being added, so let's open up console, and then let's remove it first of all. I think there's an issue, right? So we'll fix it later. So let's add it now, and showing me empty, so we'll fix it later, right? So first of all we'll work with this table, and then we'll fix that. So let's copy it and let's paste it over here, and after that so let's go over here, and I think we'll not need this table caption, so let's remove it, right? We won't need that, so it's not defined. Let's go to console. First of all, let's see the error first, and table is defined already, so let's remove table t8 and this components, because we have already defined down, right? So let's refresh, and as you can see we're actually rendering the table now. So now let's go ahead and let's remove that table caption, right? So table caption, and then there we go. So let's remove it first of all. All right, and after then we need to style this table head. So position will be sticky. We'll make this sticky, right? And then top will be 0, and background use color mode value, and let's add it dark, and then gray dot 50, and let's add j index as 1, right? And that's it. So now for table row of table head, so let's remove this 2, right? And let's change this one to product, because so let's first give style. Text align will be center, and then let's change it to product, right? So the first calling will be product, second will be price, third will be quantity, and fourth will be action, and that's it. Let's go over to the table body, and let's remove every table row first, right? And so let's remove this one as well. Let's map over to the card items, right? So card items, map item, and here now we'll use first of all empty fragment, right? And inside the empty fragment we'll be putting this tr, right? And now we'll use the real data. So first give key as item.id, and after then we'll move these two, right? And then here we'll simply use first of all make add stack, because we also need to display the image, right? So let's add image over here, and let's go ahead and put src. First of all give box size, and then src as thumbnail, alt as title, object fit cover, and let's make it 80 pixel, and that should be it. And after that we'll use text now, right after this image, so it should be text. Inside here we'll just pass item.title, and let's also give color to it. So color will be text color, and that's it. And after this first column, now let's go over to the second column, add td, and this one's actually for the price section, right? So it should be item.price, the to fixed, right? And after that we'll simply use the quantity section, right? So this one will be again add stack, and should be button first of all for the increment and decrement, right? So let's add minus to it for decreasing the quantity. So it will simply decrease the quantity, right? And let's add style to it, size as SM, and on click decrement we'll pass ID and quantity, right? And after that, what we need to do is let's add an input to it so that user can actually, change quantity from input section. So let's add input, and let's add value as item.quantity, size as m, and width will be 50 pixel. And after that, text align will be center, and on change, it'll what it'll do is it'll simply change the quantity state, right? So const value will be parse int and either target.value, and if it is not a number, right, and if value is greater than 0, we'll simply update the quantity passing ID and value, right? And then for increasing the quantity, we'll simply use this button, change this to plus, and change it to increment. So now finally for action column, right? So let's give a tooltip so that when user hover it, they'll actually know it's actually for remove. And let's add a button, and then let's add icon trash 2 from Lucid React, and let's give it a size 15 pixel, and that should be it. So let's now check how it looks, right? This button. So it's not actually being rendered as of now. So first of all, let's remove table footer, right? And let's now check. As you can see, we're not actually getting data. Let's open up application, and let's remove, and let's refresh, and it's empty now. So now let's add. We're doing it because there's an issue with the cart, so we'll fix it later. But as of now, let's go over here and let's see if it's working. So we're actually getting data for our table from the cart items. So as you can see, we're actually mapping the image, this thumbnail, right? And for title, the title, and then right. So we're actually mapping those data for table. So let's fix the braces, right? And then as you can see, we're actually getting it's all working, right? This one is not working because we are not adding the handler, on click handler over here. So for that, what we need to do is we need to go over to the tooltip first so that we can add label, right? So when you hover, we get that label, and after that we'll simply add color scheme first, right, as brand. And after that, let's add this on click handler and remove from cart, right? And let's also add size as SM, and that should be it, right? So when we remove it from cart, we're actually using it from the cart store, right? So here we have this remove from cart function, which will take ID, right, and then remove that item from the cart, right? So we'll simply filter that item, right? So whichever ID will match, it'll just remove it from the cart item array. So when we move, it'll be empty, right? So let's go for watch. Let's add to cart, increase quantity, and after then let's also add this one, right? So we have two cart, and as you can see, for that, what we need to do is let's remove it from the local storage first, right? So let's remove it and make it empty first, and then we need to add to cart, right? We'll fix it later, all right? But as of now, let's just add it to cart. Let's see our table. Let's make our table first. Let's search for another product. Let's go for bag, and let's add to cart. Right, so we have two, right? So we'll see if our table actions are working or not, right? So quantity is working properly, and this remove is working properly as well. So that's it, right? So let's go ahead and add this feature. So git commit -m feature complete cart page with table and table actions, and git push. So let's try debugging our previous issue, right? So product being not added to cart, right? So let's first of all add some products to cart, and let's see. So this one is being added, and if we add this one, and if we see here, that one's not being added, right? So let's go ahead and let's add to cart. So the issue is clear, right? Some of the products are being added, but some of the products are not being added. So it's not actually issue with our local storage or code, right? But it's actually issue with maybe the API that we are actually using, right? So let's try, and let's, as you can see, right? So we've already added more than 4 products, but we are just getting. So let's go to console and let's see for this items, right? As you can see in the cart items, we just have 4 items, right? But if we go over here and see the cart, actually we have 6 items, right? So in cart we have 6 items, but in cart item that we actually using this table, we just have 4 items, right? So now let's remove every prompt first and let's try it again, right? And so that we can actually debug the issue. So let's add it to cart, and let's go over here. This one is not being added. As you can see, cart item is empty, but cart has that data, right? And if we check that ID in this API, I think this is not present. That's why we're not getting that, right? As you can see, we're not getting that ID over in this API, right? So we're now actually near to the debugging. All right, so let's try adding the same products to the cart so that we can actually figure out if it's actually issue with API. So let's remove it, let's refresh it, right? And then let's go to products, and then we'll add the same product. So let's add it to cart. This one should be added. As you can see, this one is being added, right, like previously. And for this one is not being added, right? So this product, and let's try this one. This one was added before. So as you can see, right, this one is being added. Let's go for this Coke. This one was not being added before. As you can see, this one is not being added, right? And let's search for this. This one's not being added, right? So as you can see, this one's not being added. Let's go for this lemon. This should be added. So this one is being added. And let's go for chili, and this one is being added previously. And as you can see, this one is being added. So the issue was actually in the API that we are actually using the cart base, right? Because here in the product list page, the product is present, right, in the product list page. But this one is actually, we are actually using this API in the cart page, and there's a difference in the sort by, right? As you can see, it's title, and that's why the product was not present, right, in the cart page. So as you can see in the product page, we are actually sorting by price, and then order is ascending. But in cart, we are actually using as you can see, we just need to paste the same query parameters over here, right? That was the issue. So now let's go over to the cart, and let's add this one as well, right? And then let's give one as value to the page, right? And now if we try it again, then that should be added. As you can see, soft drink Coke is being added, right? So let's go and remove everything first of all, and let's go to products and try it again, and now it should be added. Everything should be added, right? So let's go for this Coke. This was not being added before, but as you can see, it's being added, right? And let's go for watch. This was not being added before, right? So let's add to cart, and as you can see, this one is not being added. So let's go here and let's actually use this page, the same thing over in the cart page as well, and let's make it page over here as well. And let's now try refreshing the page, and we should see that product now, but it's not working. This is not being added. Add to cart, and let's see. All right, I think we're actually using the pagination over to that API, right? But as you can see, we're just displaying 10 products. That's why we were not getting because we're not using pagination in cart page, right? Because in our API, if you see, we're actually getting 194 products, right? So we need to display all those products that, and that's how we can get all the products filtered, you know. So let's make it 200. And after that, let's see. Yeah, as you can see, the watch is being added. So let's add to cart again. As you can see, it's being added, right? So let's make it empty and let's go for the Coke. It was not being added, and now it's being added. Let's go for this watch. It was not being added, so it's being added, right? So the issue is fixed. All right, so let's try another product. This one was not being added before, right? So let's add it to cart. As you can see, it's being displayed, but we need to fix the quantity in our next chapter. All right, so we finally fixed adding all the products to cart successfully, and in our next chapter we're working with fixing the quantity and the order summary. All right, so that's it for this chapter, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Welcome back to the new chapter, and in this chapter we'll be creating an order summary for our right section. All right, so we're just creating this comment section first, and now what we do is we'll simply add a box for the outer layer, right? And so over here, let's create a box first of all. So box, and after then we'll be wrapping every details of the order summary inside this box. So let's first make a title for our order summary. So let's create a text and let's put order summary, and after then let's also put disclaimer below this order summary. So disclaimer, and no shipping charge apply for order above $50, right? So above $50. Now finally we'll be creating a vertical stack to display our order details, right? So for that, let's first of all go over here in our GitHub and let's copy, right? Because there's nothing much, there's just text and there's just value, right? So we'll understand what we're doing as well, right? So let's first copy this and let's paste it over here. So let's also copy the style, because this is a very basic style, we understand it, right? And let's also replace the heading and subheading, right, with the styles, right? And as you can see, so here there's a very basic style. Flex is 1, that means occupying one of the flex, right? And then height is fit content around it, etc., etc. And there's heading, right, with some styles, and this is the vertical stack, right? And as you can see, a line is stretch, right? So it's stretching, right? And in the first horizontal stack, this one, we're displaying the items, right? The number of items, so space between, and as you can see, we are displaying the length as 2, right? And then subtotal, right? This one, and this one is 2, right? So that's it inside of the text, right? And this subtotal is actually coming from here. We're actually reducing the cart items, so this cart items have a certain value, indivisible value, and then we are reducing it with quantity, right? And displaying the subtotal. And for shipping, the style is same, space between, and there's a shipping text, and then there's a text where we are actually, displaying the shipping charge, right? So here, as you can see, if it's greater than 50, then there's no 0, otherwise 2, right? And for this one, discount, it's actually coming from over here, right? So we are actually multiplying it with 0.1 to get the discount value. So, and after then, what we have is now we have this divider coming from Chakra UI. So it's actually, we're importing it from Chakra UI React, right? So it's simply creating this divider, as you can see, horizontal divider. And after then, we have again horizontal stack where we are displaying the total amount of value, right? So it's actually subtotal plus shipping minus discount. And that should be it. These are the order summary details which we have to display, right? So after this, what we have to do is we also have to have a delivery address form, right? So let's create one. So delivery address form. And let's also add simplified, because we are going to be using a very simple form over here from Chakra UI React. All right. So let's make a box, and here let's copy a simple form from our GitHub. We have already done it. We'll understand it, right? Let's just copy first of all. So let's copy up to here. Let's copy this box. So copy it up to here, right? So let's copy and let's paste it over here. And then let's also copy this button. So this button will actually proceed to checkout, right? So handle checkout is not defined because we have not defined this function. So let's go over here and let's create one. And I think we already have defined it. It's actually commented, actually copied it from GitHub, right? But we have to make it empty as of now, right? Empty function. So as you can see, this is a simple form with two labels. As you can see, let's make this handle checkout empty, and then let's go here in the form section. And as you can see, it's a vertical stack. First of all, we're wrapping everything in the vertical stack, and here we have this box, and then we have this form level, which is actually coming from Chakra UI, right? And after that, we have this input, simple input field, right? And this value, right? Address.name, and this is actually this state, right? And here we have the placeholder, right? This one. And after then we have this onChange handler, and we are setting address as address, and then name for this named field. All right. And after that we have this street address, and here address.street, and placeholder is going to be the static one, and on change we are setting address like this for street. And finally we have this proceed to checkout button, right? And on click we have this handle checkout, and as of now we can just create it as empty function, and in our next chapter we'll be working on this function, right, which will handle our checkout. So I'll see in the next chapter where we'll be working on this handle checkout function. All right. Welcome back to the new chapter, and in this chapter we'll be building this handle checkout function. And here what we're doing is we're using this try and catch block, and this try block, what we're doing is we're requesting post request to this path for your checkout session, and we're using this payload cart items and delivery address. So let's first build API in the backend, and then we'll come to the front end again. All right. So let's go here in the terminal, and then let's create a new folder, mkdir, and then folder name, backend in our case. So our backend folder is created. Now let's go to that directory. So cd backend, and after then let's initialize our package.json. So npm init-y, and it has initialized our package.json, right? Now we'll have to install some of the dependencies like express, right? So npm install express, and that has installed express, right? Now let's create a Swiper.js where we write API, right? So let's create a file in this directory, so Swiper.js, and let's paste this boilerplate for express, Swiper.js. So this is simple. We are actually importing express first of all, and then we are actually initializing that express in the app, and we're using this port, right? And this has to be different from the front end, since we are actually using 5173 in front end and 5000 in the backend, right? And this is a GET request where we're simply sending a static response, and here we are actually listening it to the server. So let's try go to the backend path, right? And before that we'll have to start our server. So for it there's node and then file name Swiper.js, and that should be it, right? Now it's actually running on port 5000. Let's allow it, and so as you can see it's running on 5000, this one, right? So let's go over to our backend path, and it's 5000, and as you can see it's actually swinging us back and running because this is the response. We are actually sending it from this GET API, right? Now let's go to backend again, and then let's install Chorus. Now this Chorus is actually a cross-origin resource sharing, and it's actually needed when we have to consume the response coming from the backend to the front end, right? When we're using API. All right, so it has been installed, And now let's also install .env. All right, and this package, what it does is actually it's actually used to retrieve the variable from the environment file, right? Because we have to create an environment file for storing our variables, and it's required for that case. Okay, and also finally we'll have to install a nodemon, right? And nodemon is basically a package which will help in automatically restarting the server when we have any changes in the file. All right, so we'll see now what nodemon actually does, right? So let's go here, and as you can see, we are actually running the server. Now let's go over to the server.js and make some changes. So let's change it over here. Successful with nodemon. It's not actually successful right now, but we're just changing it, right? So now let's go here and then let's try refreshing the page. Now as you can see, we have already changed. It's actually running, but there's no change, right? So we'll have to restart the server again if we have any changes in the file, right? That's where this nodemon comes, right? So let's go over here in the package.json and let's add this command to our scripts, right? Start will be node server.js, right? And then dev will actually open this nodemon server.js. It's actually run nodemon server.js. Now let's go over to the terminal and clear it up, and let's run start first of all, so that we are running the server using node, right? And after then, let's go over here and try to refresh, right? When we restart, it actually changes. Now let's go over here and make another changes. Okay, so back in running without nodemon, right? So we have changed the file, and if we refresh it, it'll not change because we are actually using node, right? And not nodemon. That's why. So let's clear it up, and let's go over here and npm run, and then we have a dev command, right, which will start nodemon, right? So let's use that one, npm run dev, and now we are actually running using nodemon, right? So it's actually running on 5000. That's good. And now if we change anything, so let's first of all refresh it. Now if we change anything in the file, all right, so successfully with nodemon, when we change, it'll automatically restart the server, right? And when we now refresh the page, it'll give us the changes without restarting the server, right? That's what nodemon help in. So without nodemon, we'll have to restart the server manually, right? And with nodemon, we don't have to do that. That's the difference. All right, now let's go back to package.json, and we have this .env, right? So now let's create a file .env in our backend directory. So let's go here and create .env, and here we'll be storing our environment variables, right? And since we're using Stripe for our payment integration, so let's create a Stripe secret, right? So Stripe and then underscore and then secret, and let's keep it empty as of now. Now let's go back to our server.js and let's try using this variable. All right, so let's go over to this file server.js, and to the top let's first import .env. So here after this one, we simply have to import .env from .env. All right, so import .env from .env, that's it, and we'll have to configure that .env. All right, and as you can see, that actually has crashed our server. Let's see what's happening. So I think it has crashed here as well, right? So it's for sure. Yeah, so let's remove it and let's restart the server. So npm run was dev, right? Now let's see the error. It's actually this one, right? So actually the error is because we're actually using the CommonJS model approach here when we're importing, but since this node is actually ES model, we have to use import and not require, right? So let's import express from express. So that's to solve the problem. All right, so express, and now let's try it, and should work, right? So it's actually working. Now let's go to a new terminal, and then let's now start using Stripe for our payment integration, right? So let's go to a new terminal, let's clear it up, and then let's install a Stripe package first of all. So npm Stripe. Now that's it, and after that let's now clear it up first of all, and then let's go here in our package.json. As you can see, Stripe has been installed, and now first of all let's also import should be Stripe, right? So import Stripe from Stripe, and then let's also import cars, right? So should be import cars from cars, simple as that. And then we have to use this cars, right? Like our AI agent is suggesting after use cars, right? And finally we'll have to set up the express.json so that we tell the express to parse the request bodies in a JSON format, right? And let's comment the Stripe part, and let's go over here and let's refresh. First of all, everything is working. Let's try to uncomment this one, and it's actually crashing, right? Because this one is actually invalid secret key because it's empty. That's why it's actually crashing, right? So when we uncomment this one, our server will be crashed, without a valid secret key. So let's go to Stripe, first of all Stripe, and then login, and we'll come to this dashboard, right? And after logging in the Stripe, in the right section, if you see, there'll be a secret key, right? So let's copy this secret key, and then let's paste it over here, and then it should work fine, right? Now let's remove this get API, and let's use our custom let's make a post API for our checkout session. All right, so it's actually a post request, so app.post, and then it'll basically take two things. The first argument is going to be a path name, so the path name is actually create a session checkout, and then the second argument is going to be a function, right? So we're actually making async function, and this will take request and response, right? And inside of this function we'll simply use try and catch block, right? So try and then catch, and this will simply catch the error. So let's pass 500 with error masses in a JSON format like that. So here what we're doing is we're using the status 500, and then we're using this JSON, and then this object error is to error the masses, or otherwise we'll use this R operator and then use our custom error masses like that. Now let's go to our try section, and then let's retrieve our data that we're actually sending from the front end, right? So let's go to our cart page and then see what we are actually sending. So we are sending here cart items, so now we'll have to retrieve that cart items, right? So const and then cart items, we're actually destructuring, right? And then it's coming from request.body, and now what we have to do is after it we'll have to store it somewhere, right? So since we don't have DB, we're going to be storing in a file in a memory using a mock order ID. So let's put a comment over here, or temporary memory example, use mock order ID. We'll be using this mock order ID, and since it has to be unique, we'll just use dead.now for it, right? So let's remove this static auto ID and let's put dead.now, and should work fine for our case as of now. But if you want it to be more unique, then you can use seconds, right? But as of now, we're just putting dead.now, and after that we'll have to make a new line items, so that we'll just map over the cart items using the information, extra information for our order, like quantity, price, etc., right? So we'll just simply map over it, and then we'll now use the items in the cart items array, and then what we do is simply return the price data, this currency, this product data, name, images, looking good, right? And then we have unit amount, and then quantity looks fine, and then that's it, right? We are simply mapping over the cart items first of all. And if we look at it here, price data, currency is USD, product data, name, item dot, it should be title, because this is what we are actually getting from the API response, right? In our response. And this should be thumbnail. And that should be it, I guess. Unit amount, price into 100. Looks good because we are actually converting it to cents. And finally, quantity is to item.quantity, and that's it. And now finally we'll have to put this line items in our Stripe session. So let's first of all remove this, and let's put it like that. And now let's okay, so now let's create a session. So it should be await stripe.checkout.session.create, and after then inside of this object we'll have to put this line items. So here, as in suggestion, payment method type is going to be card, line items we just created, right? And then mode is going to be payment. So this is the line items we have, right? So there's an issue over here with the brush. So let's fix this first of all. So here everything's fine. Let's put it like that. And now it's, I think, working. Okay. And now everything looks correct. So this is the line items in the second argument. We just created a Vov here, right? And then mode is going to be payment, and then success URL. This is where we will redirect the user once our payment is successful, right? So let's remove everything and let's just put success path with 5173 route, front end route, and then there's going to be a cancel URL over here, right? So it should go to card. So if our payment is canceled, then we'll just redirect to card base, right? So I think there's a syntactical issue over here. I think we forgot to put a string over here. So now it looks good. And finally, we'll have to return the session.url. So res.json URL is going to be session.url. And that's it. We're actually done with creating this create checkout session API. So that's it. We're actually done with creating this create checkout session API, right? And to recap it briefly, we have this post request, and in the card, in the front end section, we're using the same post request, right? And here, this API is actually expecting us to send some payload. So we are sending the cart items and delivery address, and finally we are retrieving this URL from res.data, because this is what we are actually sending from this API. If you see it here, we're passing the session.url, and finally we are redirecting the user to that URL, right? And in the catch block, we're simply handling the error. Now, finally, because we're done with 95% of the work, now let's go to our GitHub and simply copy the success page. The success page is very static, right? We're just showing that the payment is successful. Simple as that, right? Let's copy it. I'll put the link in the description, and let's go to pages and let's create a file with name successpage.jsx, and that's it. And after then, let's just paste it over here. So this is very static page for success. We're simply adding this text and then this button, explore new products, and redirecting to products, right? And so let's try it, right? So let's go here, let's put some information, let's process the checkout, and let's fill the form over here as well. So let's put the email, and then let's put the information. All right, this is static information 4242 for the Stripe, and after let's process it. And as you can see, we're actually redirecting to the success page. Now what we have to do is we have to link that file to this success route. All right, so let's go to the route file, and then let's create a new route with path name as success, and let's link that success page component we just created. All right, so as you can see, we have actually done it, right? So now let's do it again. Let's fill up the form, and let's proceed to checkout, and let's fill out the form over here as well, and let's pay. And as you can see, our payment is successful and we are redirected to the success page, right? So let's do it again. Add to cart. Let's go over here. Let's remove everything first. Let's go here in the home, and so everything's working, right? The dark theme, light theme, sliders. Let's go here. Let's search for some product. Let's go with this one. Let's increase the quantity, and let's add to cart. And then let's go over here and let's search for another product, and let's go with this one. And since it is out of stock, right? So let's go back and let's search for another watch. I think let's go with this one, and let's increase it, decrease it. Everything's working, right? Let's go here. Everything is working. So yeah, let's add to cart, and let's go to cart base and let's fill out the form. Let's put the address. Let's proceed to checkout, and let's fill the form over here, and let's pay. And as you can see, our payment is successful, right? So we're done with building our e-commerce project. Now let's go back to the code and let's push everything to the remote repository. And when I try to git push, it was actually showing me the error because of the secret key Stripe, which is pushed to the GitHub. So it'll actually give you the link from where you can actually allow the secret, right? So here, this one, you can simply go to the link and then allow secret, right? I've already allowed it, so it's already fine, right? In your case, you can do the same, right? And after then, what we had to do is simply change this valid or real secret key with some dummy string. All right. So you can put it like that, or maybe let's first of all clear the terminal, and then let's put a dummy string over here, so that it'll be more descriptive. And then let's add it, git add dot, and then let's put the message for commit. So you can put any message over here, but as of now, I'm just putting this add dummy secret for Stripe secret key, and I think that should be it, right? Make it more descriptive. You can put anything, right? And then finally, let's push it. So congratulations, guys. We have successfully completed our production grade e-commerce application. While no single project can guarantee a job, completing and deeply understanding projects like this can significantly strengthen your portfolio and help you stand out as a candidate. All right. And in our upcoming production grade tutorials, we'll explore agentic development, AI-powered workflows, advanced backend architectures, automation, and other industry-inspired projects designed to help you, keep leveling up as a software engineer. And until then, keep learning, keep building, and keep shipping. I'll see you in the next production grade course. Welcome back to the new chapter, and in this chapter, we're looking at how to deploy our full stack project, front-end in the Firebase and backend in the render. All right, so we're in this e-commerce directory where our front-end and backend both are. So let's deploy our front-end first. So for that, all we have to do is we have to install Firebase tools. So npm -g and then Firebase tools, and this -g for globally installing this Firebase tools. And after then, we'll have to log into the Firebase. So we have command Firebase login. And in your case, it'll show you a constant screen from where you can actually log in. But because I'm already logged in, it'll actually show me you're already logged in from this account, right? Now is the time to initialize hosting. So Firebase init hosting, and then proceed, right? Here, what we can do is we can use existing project or we can create a new project, right? But since we don't have any of the project in our Firebase, so we can actually go to any web browser and then go to Firebase and then go to the console, all right, to see the projects we have. So from here, we can actually see the project or create a new project if we don't have any, or if we, we can create from here. So but we can also create from the CLI, right? So let's create a new project and let's give it some name. All right. So e-commerce React 2026 codec. Let's enter. And this is unavailable. So let's change it. and let's keep it codec, and then 2026. This one is not available too, so let's make it small, right? And then let's go to the default ID, let's hit enter, and it's creating, and it's actually failed, right? Now we need to go to this debug, Firebase debug, over here to see what's the issue. So let's copy everything and then this paste it over here in the Copilot, and then let's say, can you tell me what's wrong? So it has actually suggested me that terms and services, additional details, right? So there's an issue with, terms and condition. I actually have to check mark the terms and condition. So what we can do is we can, go to the Firebase console and create a project from there, and then, accept all the terms and condition, and then it'll create me a new project, and we can link back, right? So let's go here and let's create a new project, e-commerce codec 2026, and then let's accept here and then continue, and then let's continue, and then accept, and then create project. So it has been created, right? So let's continue, and then this is the project we have to link from the CLI. All right, so let's go over here and let's clear it up first of all, and then let's init the hosting again, initialize it, and then let's proceed, and then use an existing project, and it'll swap a project we just created. So let's enter, and then it'll set up the hosting. So the public directory will be dist because we are using feet, right? So when we build, this dist folder will be created, right? That's why we are choosing dist. So yes, and then this no, and install no. So as you can see, it has initialized hosting. Now what we have to do is we have to make a build. So npm run build to fill up that dist folder, and our build has been made, right? Now we'll deploy, Firebase deploy, and only hosting. So we can see the progress of the hosting from here in the CLI, right? So it's been hosting, and that's it. It's been hosted, right? And we can actually find the hosting URL over here, right? So we can go to this link and check it out. And as you can see, our front end has been posted. So everything seems to be working, right? Now let's go and search for some product, and let's try proceeding to checkout, right? So let's go with this one. Let's add to cart. Let's fill out a form, and let's proceed to checkout. And as you can see, it's showing the error because our backend is still need to be hosted. The hosting for backend is simple as well, but before that, let's go over to the env of backend, and let's make a change over here, right? We need to add this front end URL, this one we just hosted, and then this port, right? And after then, what we have to do is let's go to the render, right? And let's sign in to the render. We can just sign in from here, right? And then let's connect our GitHub, and then we'll need to link our project. So let's go web service, and then let's link our repository, this one. And then what we need to do is now when you choose the language, it's Node, the branch is main, right? So if we see our GitHub, and if we see the repository, this one, it's actually main, right? So the branch is main, and then for root directory it's backend, right? This one. And for build command we'll have backend, and then npm install, and for start command it'll be npm start, right? That's the command in our package.json, and then we'll choose free, and then we'll need to fill the env variables. So for that, you can either add env, or we can just go to our code and then just copy it and then paste it over here. All right, so that's it, and then let's deploy. So it's simple as that, and our deployment has been started. Right, as you can see, build is successful and the URL is available and backend is running. All right, and what we need to do is actually, like I had made some changes for backend hosting. We need to change some files. So let's search for the change, and just need to search. You just need to make some changes in these files. So this one is same, I think. This one is same too, right? But in env, I just need to add this to port and front-end URL, right? And in the package.json, we'll simply format it like this, dev and then start, right? So, and for server.js, what we need to do is we need to make a port, right? So we'll get it from env, this one, right? And we'll also have for front-end URL, right? So let's go to server.js in the same file. So here, as you can see, we are creating instance for front-end URL and then allowed origins, right? And then we'll use app.use and then course, and we'll simply make a condition over here, right? So we're doing this because to prevent the coarse issue, which is normal when we are dealing with front-end and back-end, and we'll simply use this asterisk, and that's it. And finally, in our card page, we'll simply remove this comma, right? And then we'll simply make a API-based URL, right? And instead of using this localhost, we'll simply use this API-based URL. So in our front-end env, what we need to do is we need to add this backend URL, and we need to change this URL, the one we just got from the render, right? This one. So let's make it 1 because this is the one given by render. So, and then we just simply replace this localhost by that API-based URL. And then we need to push everything to GitHub and then repeat the same process we did for render deployment. But since I've already done it, I'll skip that process and go to the next process. Now, after then, what we need to do is make a build. So npm run build. And finally, we're ready for deployment. So Firebase deploy only hosting. So it's been hosted. Now let's go. So our front end and back end both are hosted now. So let's check our website. So everything seems to be working. So let's go to card, right? So let's fill the form, and then let's proceed to checkout. And as you can see, now let's fill a form and let's fill the card. And then let's try paying. And successful, right? So that's it. So congratulations guys once again for completing this whole 3-hour long e-commerce series. That's huge. And make sure to like and subscribe this channel if you find the tutorial helpful, and also give a follow on my GitHub, and I'll make sure to follow you back as well. All right, and we're coming up with so many other tutorials and courses regarding production-based projects and AI-powered projects. So make sure to stay tuned. And that's it. That's it for this course. I'll see you in the next course. And until then, have a great day.